as you're going through work, you guys work for a family of companies that is growing incredibly, that's changing incredibly. A lot is changing. Is that correct? Yeah. And it makes you sit at your desk freaking out because you don't feel like you can be successful, because you don't feel like you know what's going on. You don't feel like what's going to come next. There's a lot of fear of failure, of change, of not being successful, not being able to get it all done. I've already heard some of those questions today. And it makes you kind of want to stay in bed and not get out of bed, right? Right? Mm-hmm. All right, so we've got to figure out, how do we learn to dance in the rain? And I was recently reading an article in the Harvard Business Review. It was the article is called Emotional Agility. And the author interviewed a guy who was a POW in Vietnam for 8 years to try to find out, how do you survive that kind of thing? And he's asking questions, how do you survive? Who did, who didn't? And he goes, you want to know who didn't survive? The optimists. And I was like, oh crap, I've been a really positive person my whole life. But what he was saying is that for the people, they didn't know when they were getting out. And so the people that were constantly saying, we'll be out by Christmas, we'll be out by Easter, we'll be out by 4th of July, we'll be out by Thanksgiving, he goes, they kept getting let down. And they've died of heartbreak. And when we set our expectations at a certain level that's not necessarily realistic or anything we can control, we end up getting let down. So one of the things we've got to do as we're dealing with the discomfort and all the fruit that's flying at our head is think about what you can control. What do I have control over? And how do I deal with that? We live in Michigan. I live in northern Michigan, up in Traverse City. Every time people complain about the weather in February, I'm like, you know where you live? Like, this happens all the time. Like, if you're surprised that it's snowing, you're an idiot. Like, that's all I have to say about that. So focus on what you can control. We dig our heels into things that are changing, and it's useless because it's going to change with us or without us. And it's a waste of our intelligence, and it's a waste of our energy. So think about, what do I have control here of? And how do I work within what I've got?